Developing now, we investigate the 2014 death of a 3-year-old boy with special needs who became sick on a Beaumont ISD bus. His parents say the adults in charge did nothing to help the child, who later died. Nearly 5 years later now, those parents still seeking accountability. KFDM's Angel San Juan is looking into that tragic story tonight, and Angel joins us now in the studio. And Angel, why didn't this boy get immediate care?
Well, Greg, the two adults on that bus were the driver and an aide. Now, the driver says he was just following BISD's protocol when dealing with a student suffering a medical crisis on a bus to stop, pull over, and call a supervisor. But the parents you're about to meet still don't understand why help for their son was put on hold when the hospital was in sight.
Wow, nice going. Nice going, Ian.
This is video of Ian Delameter, a little boy with an oversized spirit who filled his parents with joy during his short life.
Through the kitchen to the dining room to the sitting room, back into the big room, and run around, back round and around.
A ball of energy.
His smile was great. Blue eyes, blonde hair. His giggle was hilarious.
The 3-year-old always on the move despite his physical challenges.
He was always happy. You know, he would always, even though he had those disabilities, you would have those moments where, you know, there would be like little sparks, little firecrackers that went off, and you'd have these connections, this little glimpse of hope.
But that hope would fade on the morning of December 8th, 2014.
6:50 in the morning, I had received a phone call from a woman from the bus barn saying that you need to go to the hospital, that your son had thrown up on the bus.
Ian would ride a BISD school bus to an early childhood program at Regina Howe Elementary. Because of his disability, he was strapped into a wheelchair on the bus.
They were actually pulled over in front of a house near the hospital to pick up another child. And they did see him where he was leaned over, and he was blue.
Ian's parents say another student on the bus had voiced her concern to an aide that Ian's safety strap was too tight. The bus at the time stopped near the intersection of 11th and North, a block from the emergency room at Christus Hospital St. Elizabeth.
I sat there for 10 minutes. They, instead of rendering aid to him or driving to the hospital, which they could see right there in front of their faces.
Ian's dad, Nathan, says neither the bus driver nor the aide called 911 and did not head to the hospital, which was in sight.
The child is unconscious. You're a block from a hospital. What do? What does common sense tell you to do? Take care of the child.
Attorneys Chip Ferguson and Cody Deshawn represent the Delameters in a lawsuit against the Beaumont Independent School District. Deshawn says instead of helping the unconscious boy, the bus driver called the bus barn. In a deposition, the driver said he was following protocol.
He says the school district ordered him to stop the school bus. You can't do anything. Now, the bus driver totally disagrees with the policies, says they're not fair, that he would have driven to the hospital in this case, but he was following BISD's orders.
Ian's mom, Tracy, says it would take another 10 minutes before the ambulance arrived. Her young son died at the hospital.
That morning, he was smiling at me just fine. And then suddenly, a little while later, I get a phone call saying my son threw up. And he's laying there dead. Why? Why was he dead?
That's why the Delameters took the matter to court. But almost 5 years later, the distraught parents still don't have answers, nor has anyone been held accountable for their son's death.
Anytime you're dealing with a school district, they have immunity. That means you cannot sue them unless state has given you permission to sue them.
There is an exception, though.
The bus driver literally has to cause an accident, cause a wreck on the road, run a stop sign, rear end somebody, and that's the only way you can sue the government.
The Texas Supreme Court did not find that what happened to Ian met that standard and rejected the lawsuit.
BISD got out on a legal technicality. They don't have to face a jury in this community and say what they did right and what they did wrong.
Even though the Texas Supreme Court dismissed the case against BISD, we still wondered if the district was going to implement any changes to avoid such a tragedy from happening again. The district officials told us they had no comment because the case is ongoing. Yes, you see, turns out now BISD is being sued in federal court.
When the state doesn't take care of its own citizens, then we turn to the federal courts, and that's where we are now.
And BISD appears to be pursuing the same strategy.
Now, BISD in the federal case has again hid behind legal technicalities and filed another motion to dismiss. Basically, the BISD lawyers want the Delameter family to go away.
But the Delameters don't plan to do that. They want their son to get the attention they say the school district failed to give him in his time of need.
I feel like a piece of dirt because they didn't care enough to help him.
In the federal lawsuit, the attorney for the Delameters say BISD did not properly train the bus driver nor the aide to care for special needs students, and they allege Ian was likely strapped into his harness too tightly. Again, Beaumont ISD declined to comment for this report, citing the ongoing litigation. Greg.